morning meeting to order. Some folks can trickle in as they get moving. Thank you all for being here. I hope you enjoyed the break. This seems like yesterday was Monday and today's Tuesday, and it's just kind of a weird week, but we're going to get through this. Who's on WebEx, Trevor?
No one, Mr.
No
Chair.
one's on WebEx. Okay, very good. Thank you for that. Next, Representative Hoy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that we approve the Federal and State Affairs minutes from February 15th, 16th, and 21st, 2023.
Do you have a second? Second by Representative Epley. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Very good. Next, bill introductions. Eric with the Kansas Chamber.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Eric Stafford with the Kansas Chamber of Commerce with a request for a bill introduction of RS 1343, 1343. That is a bill dealing with plastic auxiliary containers.
Very good. Committee objections. Seeing none, bill is introduced.
Thank you.
Very good. Further bill introductions. Seeing none, we'll open the hearing. Oh, yeah. Welcome to committee, Representative Smoy. Thank you for being here. Is there anybody else?
Thank you very much.
Okay, very good. I don't see anybody else here that's new. Okay, we're going to open the hearing on 2422, eliminating statutory qualifications listed for the Chief Inspector of Boiler Safety appointed by the Fire Marshal. As a proponent, we have Doug Jurgensen. Oh, Doug, hold on just a minute. I even wrote myself a note here that says reviser on it, and I still skipped it. So anyway, one of these days I will get it down. Thank you, Mike.
Mike Heim in the Revisor of Statutes Office. This bill is relatively simple. It strikes some qualifications for the Chief Inspector, Boiler Safety, and the Deputy Inspector. The qualifications were added to the law in 2014 and are being deleted now because apparently there's a problem in trying to find people that have the match the experience with what statute requires. So if you got questions, I'll try and answer them.
Committee questions? Seeing none, thank you, Mike. Now, Doug Jurgensen with the State Fire Marshal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, committee members. I appear before you today to ask for your support for this bill. The bill was introduced by our office. Just like other state agencies, we're currently struggling with recruitment and retention. One of the positions that we are dealing with in this bill, we have one boiler inspector position that's been open for a year now that we haven't been able to fill. Part of the reason is not necessarily the level of the requirements that are in statute, but it doesn't allow us to create like an entry-level position or even apprentice level position where we can bring people on and give them the training and the experience they need so that they can then become a boiler inspector. So the basis for this bill is actually simply to remove those requirements from statute and then let our office work with Department of Administration to put together some more realistic position descriptions and actually create some additional descriptions, and it would even allow us to maybe venture into an apprenticeship program with some of the state technical schools. And with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Very good. Thank you. Committee questions? Wow, that was pretty easy. Representative Heiberger.
I guess we were just told that these were added in 2014. Do you recall why those were added then?
I think they've been in there prior to 2014 because our office inherited the boiler inspection responsibility from Department of Labor about that time. So the last change in the statute was 2014, but I think that was encompassing the move from labor to our office. I think these particular requirements have been in the statute since the 70s and 90s.
Very good. Committee, further questions? Doug, I just have one. We've been in correspondence with Robert Wolfer. I sent you that email, his concerns yesterday
Yes.
from Bradford White. Is there any validity to what he's suggesting, or are we interested in doing something like that, or we just want to keep it clean?
I would again recommend that we remove the requirements from statute. I mean, we have no objection to working with the industry, the insurance companies on building those position descriptions with Department of Administration and setting some requirements. It's not our intent to just open up this so we can hire anybody off the street to be a boiler inspector, because that position is detailed and it does take some training, knowledge, and experience. But it would allow us to have more than just two positions, the chief deputy inspector and then the regular inspectors, and it would allow us to institute an apprenticeship or training program to try and bring people up to that level for the future.
Very good. Thank you for that. Representative Hauser.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Doug, could you share with them about the VOTEC school that we were talking about and how you can bring them through that?
Yes, there are a couple of VOTEC schools in the state that have HVAC programs, but in those HVAC programs, they actually have boiler programs, and they actually have working boilers, regular boilers on site that they use in their training and classrooms. And it again would hopefully allow us to sort of be able to give those people coming out of the VOTEC apprentice or introductory type position with the state, and then give them the further training and experience they need to meet some of the requirements that are currently in statute. And we would move most of those requirements into the position description. It just, again, allows us to create some additional positions below those standards so that we can bring people on and try and build a workforce through those methods.
Very good. Committee, further questions? Representative Humphreys.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I just want to confirm what you're proposing is we go from these requirements that say 5 years of experience to saying nothing about requirements in statute.
Correct. To remove all the requirements from the statute and let the agency set those requirements in the position descriptions along with Department of Administration.
And do you have a date set for when they would have to have those positions, the position descriptions done?
No, we would have those in place whenever the change in statute took effect.
Okay, and the reason I'm pausing is because, we've passed a lot of bills that say so-and-so is going to do rules and regs according to this, and then it goes on and on for a long time. And that's a concern when we're going from really robust requirements, which I understand that might be too much, but then go into absolutely nothing. So that would be my concern.
I understand. And those requirements would not be moved into rules and regs. They would simply be a position description that the agency would work with state HR and Department of Administration to put together and set. And those position descriptions still would include some of the things that are in the statute, again, but it would allow us to create a third or fourth position Or right now, we're hindered because we only have the 2 positions we can hire to.
And that's statewide. I mean, that would be, that's for it's a state position, as if I'm understanding correctly.
Yes, correct. It's
Okay,
a
thank you.
position in our office.
Yep, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Heiberger.
Sorry for a second bite at the apple, Mr. Chair. Current statute says that the chief inspector and the deputy inspectors shall be in the unclassified service. Is that a recent change, or is that also something inherited from Department of Labor?
I believe that we changed that in the statute when the state employees had the option to move from classified to unclassified.
Okay. And do you see a good reason for the deputy inspectors or your new hires to be in the unclassified service?
Unclassified? No, that would, again, sort of be up to the individuals, but the current trend, I think, across all state agencies is to go with unclassified positions.
Yeah. Thanks.
Representative Epley.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. And Doug, thanks for being here and giving your testimony. I can appreciate the staffing issues that you're dealing with and why you want to change this, and I understand that. But it would seem, and you need to help me understand this, more logical if the Department of Administration would develop these alternate descriptions or secondary descriptions and develop a hiring methodology for that going forward before we don't have any one monitoring this, as the other representative from Wichita alluded to. So I think this might be a little premature, and I wanted your feedback on that. I'm not sure the correct order from the state of Kansas, how you develop the new job descriptions and what the timeline is. And if you can comment about that, that's great. Thank you.
On developing job descriptions, we recently just changed a number of the job descriptions in our office to bring those up to what the individual actually does, because over time, people's duties change, their responsibilities change, and we move them around inside the agency. And creating those new job descriptions and moving those people to those job descriptions with the cooperation of D of A maybe took a week. So getting new job descriptions through Department of Administration is a very quick process right now.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So my understanding is you think it would be a really quick turnaround to develop alternate job positions / descriptions and have them able to do these inspections in place of the current statute, correct?
Yes, the new job descriptions, position descriptions would be a quick turnaround, and we would have those in place before these changes actually took effect.
Very good. Thank you for the clarity. Thank you.
Committee, further questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, I'm going to close the hearing on 2422 and we're going to work 2304. Committee questions? Comments? Representative Miller.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I have more of a comment at this point, but I wanted to say that from 2016 to 2020, 141 Kansas children died by suicide. The most common method of suicide was the use of a firearm. 68 children died by suicide with a gun during that time. The rate of firearm deaths in Kansas has doubled over the last 5 reporting years. In 2020, there were 26 suicide deaths, 8 of which were age 14 or younger. In that same year, more children died by firearms than in motor vehicle crashes. This is all from the 2022 Kansas State Child Death Review Board report. As a prevention tip, the report states the need to limit access to lethal agents, easily obtained or improperly secured firearms and other weapons, and means such as prescription and over-the-counter medications are often used in suicides. The more difficult it is for children to put their hands on these items, the more time they have to rethink their intentions or to allow someone to intervene. I'm not sure how telling a child not to touch a gun helps prevent suicide. The responsibility is on us to protect children from unsecured firearms. There's a lot more that we should do to keep our kids safe from gun violence, but this bill mandates that the public school that wants to offer firearm safety must use the NRA's program. The very organization that fights against safe gun storage laws like the one we have in this committee, currently House Bill 2413. And thank you for your time. Thanks.
All right. Thank you for your comments. Committee, further questions? Representative Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I don't know who would best be able to answer this question, but so currently we have JRTC programs in our high schools. And a part of that, they do go through firearm safety. So if this bill were to pass, would those JRTC programs not be allowed to currently teach what they're currently teaching as it relates to firearm safety? Maybe Mike could clarify, or I don't know, but
Mike.
I'm not familiar with the other program and so on. This bill says State Board of Education shall establish curriculum guidelines and so on. Such guidelines shall include but not be limited to, and so forth. I think you could do both, but I'm not familiar with the program you're talking about. So,
well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just think, I don't think this committee should be mandating to our local school boards, taking away their power to establish curriculum. And, they already have this authority to create these gun safety programs. They are not restrained by state law. And I just think this is another, overreach and something that we shouldn't be taking up. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Thank you for that. Representative Heiberger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Are we working the bill now? Okay.
Yes.
Then I have an amendment.
Okay. Are you going to pass it out?
No.
Okay.
It can go either way.
Representative Hauser.
Has anybody made a motion to work the bill yet?
We don't have to.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I had been doing that wrong for years and years and years, but we have new guidance. The proper way to do it is you just open it up. Don't need a motion or a second. So it's weird for me too, but now we're doing it the correct way. Representative Clayton.
I know. We've got a member who's down taking page pictures. I don't know if we, would want to chill and wait for a little bit for them, or yeah.
Okay. Well, and we do too. So. Committee, stand at ease for just a minute. We have two members gone, and we can take a look at this amendment very quickly. I guess while we're waiting, Representative Heiberger, could you explain your amendment?
Sure. It's pretty simple. It just changes three occurrences, the word shall with may. The Board of Education, as we discussed a little bit at the hearing, has independent statutory authority for the general supervision of education in the state of Kansas, or K through 12 education. And that has and I'm not an expert in this area, I don't have the case law in front of me, but it's generally been interpreted as the board has responsibility for curriculum and curriculum standards. I mean, the legislature has authority to give general direction, like the way I understand the law, and the revisor can correct me if I'm wrong. So it would be in the legislature's purview to require schools to offer gun safety training, but specifying the curriculum that's used to teach it is outside of the legislature's purview. So the way I read the bill as it's currently written, it requires what's unconstitutional. It oversteps the legislature's authority and encroaches on the state board of education's authority. So this making these curriculum standards optional rather than mandatory would fix that.
Very good. Thank you for that. I'll go ahead and bring the meeting back to order. Do you have a motion for that amendment?
Well, I move my amendment.
And a second?
Second.
Second by Representative Hoy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, discussion on the amendment. Sorry. Representative Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will be opposing this amendment. I think also to clarify something said earlier, this says they shall establish the curriculum, but it also says, to clarify the representative from Olathe's question, shall the Eddie Eagle gun safe program offered by the NRA or any successor program. So this still allows them to use systems that are already in place. It just says they will establish this as well. So if the school has a system in place, the district has a system in place, they can still go by this because it says right here in the language, don't take my word for it, read the bill, or any successor program. So just wanted to clarify that.
Further discussion, committee. Representative Heitberger.
I'm going to respectfully disagree with the representative. That is not what that language says or means. When it says any successor program, that means any successor program to the Eddie Eagle gun safe program offered by the National Rifle Association. This does not give school districts authority to use a curriculum other than what's specified in the statute.
Committee, further discussion. Representative Smoy.
Going off of what the representative next to me said, on line 12, it does say shall be based on. That does not mean that it has to be the NRAs. It does have to be based on the principles that are taught, such as Eddie Eagle. And so really the may, I'm confused on if we change it from shall being based on those principles to may, what's the point of the bill?
Committee, further discussion. Seeing none, Representative Heitberger, would you move your amendment?
Yes, I move my amendment. Thank you.
You've heard the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. No. Motion fails. Okay, who wants their votes recorded? There are no votes recorded. Representative Heitberger, Representative Silas, Representative Boyd.
We voted yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes, yeah, we have a yes.
Right.
Amendment good, yes.
We voted yes.
Yeah, okay, sorry. There are no votes recorded. Okay, Representative Hoy, Representative Ruiz, Representative Clayton, Representative Hasswood, Representative Heitberger, and Representative Boyd would like their no votes recorded.
Yes votes.
Or yes votes. Is that it? Okay, very good. Thank you. Committee, further discussion. Representative Hasswood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One of my main concerns is that our conferees couldn't provide us solid evidence or data that this program was effective. And during my quick research, there really was no evidence that would help ease my concerns through that. So I have an amendment.
Very good. You want to explain your amendment?
Yeah, so while the revisor's passing that out, it would strike in lines 13 and 14, any successor program, strike in line 18, any successor program, and strike in line 21 or any successor program.
Discussion on the amendment.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion on the amendment. Representative Resman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So striking these, any successor programs, so that would just limit it to the NRA's program?
Representative Haswood.
I would believe so. Yeah.
Very good. Further discussion. Representative Heiberger.
The way I read the amendment, I mean, the statute already requires for 1 through 5 requires the NRA program. This, the way I read this is if the Eddie Eagle Gun Safe program went away, well, it was changed into a successor program by the NRA, then that program would not be able to be used. And I guess the way I would understand the amendment is that we don't know what these successor programs to either of these is going to look like. And that's why I would support the amendment.
Committee further, Representative Hauser.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could you answer this question? Why would, if you just voted for that amendment previously, why would you bring up an amendment that excludes any other? And just the way I read it, it just says the only program would be Eddie Eagle. Is that what I'm reading? Am I reading it right?
So I think we would probably need a little bit of clarification of Mike, or the ranking might have a better explanation.
Representative Hoy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the bill says that for grades kindergarten through, through fifth grade, if local school districts are going to offer firearm safety, they must use the NRA Eddie Eagle program. And the inclusion of or any successor program means that we would adopt whatever future program the NRA may replace Eddie Eagle with. So it's not another organization's program. We would be putting into law any future programs should they decide to revise their 1980s Eddie Eagle program.
Representative Epley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And you know, I'm not an attorney, but I stayed at a Holiday Inn last night. And so I just want to say, I know that's old. I can't help it. It just says successor program. It doesn't say successor to Eddie Eagle program. The word successor, if you Google search, it just means replacement, period. Replacement. It doesn't say this, the wording of this does not say replacement of Eddie Eagle. It says replacement program. So I don't think we're confined by the NRA's directive on this. I think it can be a successor program as the state board deems appropriate. I just think we're getting a little too harangued over terminology. Thank you.
Committee further questions. Representative Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It clearly says based on the Eddie Eagle program. It doesn't specify that it has to be the Eddie Eagle program. It simply says she'll be based on the Eddie Eagle gun safe program. So I don't see what the issue is here.
Representative Heiberger.
Yeah, I'd like to request the revisor to clarify the meaning of or successor program as used in this bill.
The way I read it, it is referring back to the NRA program. Another comment for what it's worth, which may not be worth much, but you may argue that this would be an unlawful delegation to not specify a program. I don't think it's that. That's a possibility anyway.
Committee, further discussion. Oh, Representative Burkett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess I agree with that. And also, I'd say I'm not going to vote for the amendment, but I think it also would hamper just the Parks and Wildlife one that, any successor programs. I don't think we should have that stricken from their piece of the bill, but I'm not supporting it. Just a comment on that piece. Thank you.
Representative Hoy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I would say any future you are correct that it would encompass both of those. But again, to put into statute something that we don't even know what it could be, I think is inappropriate at this time. So I'll be supporting the amendment.
Committee, further discussion. Representative Thomas.
I think we got our amendments out of order because in the last amendment, it was the language or successor program or any successor program there was some differing on that. And now we're getting rid of the language that didn't seem to exist one amendment ago. So that's interesting. I will not be supporting the amendment.
Further discussion, committee. Seeing none, you may close on your amendment.
I close.
Committee, all in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. No. Motion fails. Recorded votes, aye votes. Okay. Representative Heiberger, Representative Hassford, Representative Hoy, Representative Clayton, got it. Yeah, okay. Very good. Further discussion. Representative Clayton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have an amendment. I can go ahead and explain it while it's being passed out, if you so desire.
Yes, Representative, explain your amendment.
Thank you. Okay, so what my amendment does is it's essentially a funding and severability. And so here's the thing, is that during the process of the hearing, at least at this point, it's not costing any money, but it could later. And I don't like unfunded mandates. I'm a fiscal conservative or a physical conservative, depends on how we pronounce things in this building. So if you don't like unfunded mandates, you are going to love this amendment. And so I'm seeking a second and asking for your support.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Representative Hoy seconds the amendment. Discussion, committee. Seeing none, you may close on your amendment.
I move my amendment.
Very good. You've heard the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. No. Motion fails. Who wants their votes recorded? Okay, Representative Clayton wants her aye vote recorded. Representative Hoy, Representative Hasswood. Representative Heiberger, do you want your vote recorded on that? Okay, very good. Thank you. Back on the bill. Committee, further discussion. Representative Hoy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to offer an amendment also.
Do you have a second?
Do you want me to explain it or?
Yeah.
Okay. This amendment, because this would be creating a program in statute that the board adopts for universal curriculum should local school districts want to offer firearm safety. Many of them already do. There are provisions in the state law that exempt the use of firearms in school buildings for programs, and doing such a large overhaul as this, I wouldn't want to change that in state statute. It's in criminal use of weapons law. I wouldn't want to change that because there are times that these types of after school programs and things where it is appropriate, but this is starting in kindergarten. So an individual with a concealed carry permit with a firearm in a kindergarten classroom teaching Eddie Eagle that wouldn't be against the law. So this amendment creates a provision that says that the program shall not allow for the use or demonstration or possession of a firearm or live ammunition as part of the program.
Do I have a second? Representative Hasswood seconds the amendment. Committee discussion. Representative Hauser.
Thank you. What if my school wanted to teach kids how to shoot? Would this forbid them from doing that?
Mr. Chair, there are certain programs, rifle teams, things like that. And no, this amendment would only prohibit it as part of the state's standardized curriculum. So there are other after school programs and things like that that do offer hunter safety teams, and that is why that this language exists in our criminal code, in our law, in our statutes. But if we standardize something for all schools, it seems to me a little extreme.
Committee further discussion. Representative Humphries.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So my question is, you brought this up a little bit during the hearing, and have you ever heard of any incidents when Eddie the Eagle firearm safety is being taught in public schools?
I do believe that the Eddie Eagle is taught, that some schools do offer that.
They offer it, but I did a little bit of research, and there's never been any sort of incident or accident when they're teaching Eddie the Eagle.
Well, I don't know about specific to Eddie Eagle, but we've just seen in the last week, a fifth grader brought a gun to school in Lincoln. A principal had a gun left behind somewhere. A student reported it down at Rising Star Elementary in Texas, and the principal or the teacher actually sent a third grader to go check. So I do think that when it comes to firearms, that it requires 100% accuracy and responsibility, and that we are not seeing that nationwide right now. So I'm not willing to take that risk starting in kindergarten.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I don't think this amendment has anything to do with what happened in Texas. I didn't hear about it, but that's something completely different than what this is. And I'll oppose the amendment. Thank you.
Very good. Committee further discussion. Representative Clayton.
I think just to some of the last points, my dad always had a phrase that annoyed me when I was a child, but the older I get, the more it makes sense. And that is, all accidents are preventable. I think it's wise of us to at least consider the possibility of, if we are going to mandate this curriculum, to mitigate risk. So I know you guys love unfunded mandates, but I know that we're all really responsible people that don't like risk. So especially when it comes to our very precious children. So urge your support.
Committee further discussion. Seeing none, you may close on your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This bill, without this amendment, does standardize a program that allows armed adults potentially in our K through 12 schools. And with that, I close and move my amendment.
You've heard the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. No. Motion fails. Who wants their aye votes recorded? Representative Hoy, Representative Hasswood, Representative Clayton. Any further? Representative Miller. Any further yes votes recorded? Seeing none, back on the bill. Further discussion. Representative Ruiz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak on this bill. This isn't the first time this bill's been before the committee, and I think any type of education we can offer our kids as far as safety goes, I just wish we could educate our kids and our families on how to keep guns out of the schools would be more beneficial as far as I'm concerned. Coming from an inner city district, and we've had incidents of children, well, in high school, you can be up to 20 years of age, I think, bringing some firearms, being caught with firearms in schools. And And I wish there were ways we can circumvent some of those issues happening in our schools, especially in my schools. So again, education is good. I will be not supporting this bill. I think we could take it to a step further and maybe try and keep guns out of schools and more education for the parents. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for that. Committee, further discussion on the bill. Representative Heiberger.
Thank you for indulging me, Mr. Chair. I'll be brief. Now, all the testimony we heard on this bill was about the importance of firearms training for our children. I didn't hear anybody disagree with that. This bill does not increase the number of children that will get firearms training. In fact, it might lower it because it's going to impose a new curriculum on people who may be teaching it differently. So, among other reasons, that's why I would be opposing the bill.
Very good. Committee, further discussion. Seeing none, I entertain a motion. Representative Thomas.
Mr. Chair, I move that the committee passes out House Bill 2304 favorably.
I have a motion. I have a second by Representative Smoy. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
No.
Motion fails, or motion passes. I'm sorry. Okay. Motion passes. And who would like their no votes recorded? Representative Heiberger, Hasswood, Miller, Boyd, Hoy, Clayton, Ruiz. Further recording of your no votes. Seeing none, do you have that, Connie? Okay, very good. Okay, we will start on 2406 concerning Personal and Family Protection Act, prohibiting collection of personal information off-duty law enforcement officers entering buildings and requiring the officer to wear anything identifying that person as a law enforcement or being armed. Okay, committee discussion. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion. Representative Heiberger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you will recall, there was one proponent of this legislation, and he said that he was probably speaking for the KBI and a number of other law enforcement agencies. You may have recalled that there was a representative of the KBI in the audience at that time, and they did not offer testimony or respond to that. And that spoke volumes to me. I think this is a crusade by one person. I'll be voting no.
Committee, further discussion. Seeing none, Representative Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the committee pass on House Bill 2406 favorably.
Second. Who seconds? Representative Howe. Second. Committee, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Who wants their no votes recorded? Representative Heiberger wants his no vote recorded. Further, that's the only one. Okay, very good. Well, committee, it kind of seems like we haven't been here for a while. It's good to get back in action and everything. Next week, we will work a couple of bills, Eddie Eagle, and I don't remember what else.
Working Eddie Eagle on the floor? Or?
No, sorry. We've already worked Eddie Eagle. Never mind. That's what I get for not looking at my notes. Okay, you saw the agenda, and that'll be what we're going to do next week. Thank you. We are adjourned.